So we're live.
Hey,
So
so
excited. So
hello.
excited.
Yes, hello everyone. It is Weed Crush Wednesday. So you have Lex and Tay, Tay and Lex. So thank you for joining us. Another episode for the first Wednesday. You have us, Lex and Tay, and then in the third Wednesday, if you do miss his face, you will see Marcus. So yeah.
Definitely. Make sure you guys definitely tune in. Check out our website. Buy some merch. Got the new T-shirts as well. Also, want to shout out our sponsors. We got Verna, Roller K. Also, Reset Wellness. Definitely check those brands out as well. And so we're gonna get it started. So today's episode, mainly gonna be talking about just the flower. It's all about the buzz. That's this month. Of course, you all know 420 is this month. So we really want to celebrate and show love to the flower itself, and the originate. So we're just gonna just break it down. We're gonna talk about the basics, indica, sativa, CBD versus THC, what not to do, what to look out for in the bud, safety hazards, what to look out for and stuff like that. Just the basics. Just talking to you guys, trying to put you guys on game because it might be stuff that you don't know, and I'll be learning as well with you guys. So, we'll have my guest on today, Pat, is going to come on here. He's very knowledgeable about everything, so it's going to be good to hear from him and see his side of the story, just his journey on what he did, how he, became a grower to assistant manager at Curly. So it's going to be pretty fun today. And also, we're going to be doing um, uh, current events, guys. So we talk about current events. We will touch bases on Joe Biden. I guess some of his employees, they basically came forth and was honest about prior use to marijuana, and he kind of like laid them off. Not kind of, but he did. So we're just gonna talk about that as well, and any other recent news that we have in the cannabis industry. So that's the outline for the day.
Yeah, so we have a nice little agenda coming up. And as you guys know, we are Marijuana Matters, a social equity advocacy group within the cannabis industry, making sure that we are, ensuring that the right people are looked after. Ultimately, we are Weed Crush Wednesday, the variety show that reports on budding events, products, and people in the cannabis space. So, thank you so much for joining us again. And we're about to dive right in it. Like he said, it's all about the bud. With it being 420, everything flower for us. So let go.
Let's go. So, do you want to bring Pat in right now, or?
I think so. We were saying about, 5 minutes into it, give a little bit of time for everyone to come in. I think that we have some nice individuals with us. Thank you again for joining. And we will be bringing Patrick Wilkins with us, as he said. So, welcome to the stage, Pat Wilkins.
So, Pat, you could just introduce yourself, tell the people about yourself, your journey in the cannabis industry, how you got started, and where you are today.
All right. Well, like y'all said, I'm Pat. I'm currently the assistant manager at Curaleaf. I kind of got started in cannabis just like most people, recreationally. You know, just like any other person, I was taught it was bad, when I was younger. But, after having some hard nights sleeping, I had a buddy say, hey, try this, see if it'll help out. And it's been smooth sailing ever since. I got into the cannabis industry probably about almost 4 years ago. I started at a little company called Verano. You might have heard of them. I worked in I worked in the grow there. I started off as a trimmer, so I've kind of worked my way up through the rankings there. I ended up being in charge of like the drying and cure process, the wet trim room, and just kind of getting the buds tested and making sure that they were okay to be ingested. And then
Is this sorry, I'm gonna probably interrupt. That's what I
you're
do
good.
and don't do. But is this the location in Jessup? Because I work for Prime Extracts, and it was, I believe we shared the location.
Yeah,
So it's like little
yes.
neighbors. So it's always fun when I see other Verano folks because we shared the space. But
Yeah, definitely. The guys at Prime were pretty dope. I remember them very well. I used to bring
yes.
up the stuff for extract pretty much once a day, almost.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
small world. Sorry, continue,
it's all
please.
good, all good, definitely. It was I love that building. It was pretty cool to have two teams in there like that. Um,
Yeah.
so then about a year and a half ago, I started working with Cureleaf. I started off as a bud tender there. Then I went from that to inventory. As you guys know, the MMCC uh, does crack down on a lot of stuff, and so it was basically my responsibility to make sure we were within the rules. Um, and then now I'm the assistant manager. We just opened up a new store in Montgomery Village, and it's been open for about 3 weeks now, and it's been really busy, really busy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we were, I guess for you guys who are joining us, thank you again. We were talking a little bit before the show about the grand opening of the Montgomery Village. Myself as a part of the bouquet rolling papers team, we were actually at the grand opening. And he missed it, so we didn't get to
Yes,
meet each
I
other
do.
there, but soon. But it's a beautiful location, so absolutely gorgeous. If you guys haven't been there and you are a Maryland patient, because you do have to be a Maryland patient, sadly, hopefully that changes soon. Come on, normal. But yeah,
It's
it's
been
a
really
beautiful.
cool, The drive through was a crazy thing, like, especially coming from recreational, what you had to do to get it before. Now I can just pull up and get it. It's pretty cool.
Literally, like it's things you never thought would actually happen, because I think it was an old bank, correct? So they then redid it, and now it's just a pull up, grab your medicine,
Okay, so
and
I did hear about that in the work. So that y'all actually is all there now. Okay.
Yeah, the drive-through is there. It's functioning. You place an online order, you come
I
pick
was
it up.
there. They was talking about, saying doing it. I didn't know they was gonna do it, but okay, that's nice to know.
It's cool, man. It's definitely different.
yeah, it's crazy, it's wild. And Khadijah actually said hi, Pat. So one cure leave. Um,
What's up, Khadijah?
So yeah, so you started from grower and then you transitioned into being at a dispensary. What was that like? Like what kind of prompted that? Do you think retail is something you've enjoyed more? Is there a difference there?
Well, honestly, as the market opens, there's going to be a lot of different positions available, and there's so many different parts of the market I don't think people realize, are available to work in. And honestly, for me, I want to learn it all. I want to learn every single part about it. I got the experience at the grow. Once they allow us to start growing at home, I'm gonna, try to do my best to do that. Now I'm getting the got a little head start there, a little knowledge. And then with the dispensary part of it, once you grow it, you got to be able to move it. So this is a very important part that I think people need to understand. You get to meet patients, and you get to kind of learn what helps them, what doesn't help them, and it's really cool to get that side of the industry. Meeting those people that had these debilitating effects going on with them, and now something as small as this plant can help them live as close to a normal life as they find necessary. And then I do eventually at one point want to get to the extraction part of it. You got to know that part too. um, I made the switch from grow to this because I want to learn it all, and this is one of the best ways to do that.
Absolutely. I totally feel that. I think probably Tay feels very similarly after having
Yeah.
worked in a dispensary. It's once you dip your toe in, it's like, oh, this is fun. What else is there to do? And I kind of felt similarly, and with my entrepreneurial self, I've worked at a dispensary now, working in extracts. It's you really want to know what it's all about, and knowledge is power. It's really, you know.
I know for me it was like an eye opener. It's like it's a lot of information you got to retain. I mean, Pat, you know, you keep teaching me every day, man. Like so much stuff. It's real deep. It's like into the science and basically like terminology, how you want to talk to the customers, stuff like that. Also, I mean, we should touch bases on like the terpenes and just put people on game on like what they should know, what terpenes to look for. So a lot of people don't really know. You know, they just come in there and you know, Pat, they come in, they want to get the highest testing and stuff like that. Why don't you like share a little bit about the terpenes and what people should like look out for, and not necessarily just go for the top testing, but
Yeah, a lot of patients, especially newer ones that, either have never used cannabis before or, they come from that recreational side where they're like, the best way I get whatever feeling it is I'm looking for is from the highest testing stuff. Maryland is actually one of the few markets where they put the terpene information on the bud, and yeah, absolutely, round of applause for that.
It's the best.
And I'm hoping that other states follow suit because people don't understand, that the THC is just kind of like the key to the car, if you will, but the terpenes, that's going to be your steering wheel. That's going to control, which side you're leaning towards. Like, am I taking something that's going to put me to sleep? Am I going to take something that's going to wake me up? And then everything in between. Am I not trying to do any of those? And I'm just trying to have some relief of any kind. It's people definitely, I would say some of the veterans do this too. A lot of the guys that have been smoking for 20, 30 years, before you could just walk into a store and get it, the first thing they come in with, what's the highest one you got? That's what I need. I don't want to hear anything else. That's what I need. And that's fine. You know your body more than anybody else. You should know yourself. But I do think, terpenes that people need to look out for. Me personally, I'm a myrcene guy. I like terpenoline a lot. Both of those guys, I feel relax me and do exactly what I need to get through the day. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that entirely. It's that's kind of what they started to preach while we were in the dispensary. It's that terps over THC, terpenes over THC, and I described it kind of in that same exact way where weed itself is a vehicle. Like THC is the bus, but terpenes are the bus driver. It's really like THC is going to get you where you're going, and the higher the level, that's going to be how fast you get there, like how hard it hits. But where you're actually going, is it comfortable? Is it sativa, indica? And that's where you could probably speak a little more about that and saying you like myrcene and things. That indica and sativa is dictated also by those terpenes. And just to reiterate for the people who may be out there and are like, terpenes, what is that? What are you even talking about? Terpenes are just a naturally occurring chemical compound found in basically all plants. Literally. And it's kind of the essential oils. So if you're buying essential oils and you like that lavender, you like that orange, that smell makes you feel a certain way. That's exactly what terpenes are. So cannabis, the way it makes you feel, is also dictated by those same terpenes. So that's my little tidbit, but please take it back.
That's how I try to explain it to people too. Like I tell them, limonene, that has lime in it. You can hear lime. So you think citrus, anything that has orange, when you rip an orange peel open and you kind of smell it, kind of like freshens you up. You're like, oh, okay, what's this? Same thing with the cannabis. If it has a lot of limonene, something you would find in citrus, and you vape it, you burn it, however you're ingesting it, if it has a lot of that terpene, it's just like ripping that orange peel. You're going to smell it. You're going to be refreshed. You're going to be like, okay, I got a little boost of energy. I definitely tell people that they have to do a little research, know what terpenes you like, know what you don't like. Take that bottle you just picked up from the store and read it. Read what it says and, find out what it is you like about it or what you don't, and then compare it to the other stuff that you're going to purchase in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we also, like, in the dispensary, they do try to push that for patients to journal. I don't know if too many actually do it, but it's always like, if you're given that information, it's very, very helpful for you to look at the back of products. And I actually know I have one sitting right here just so people can be familiar with what something may end up looking like. It would be like a list, and you can see things such as myrcene and the pinene and limonene. It's literally a whole variety of terpenes, as well as the THC information, which again lets you know what hits you. So we got a question in. Awesome. Um, Tay, would you like to?
So Khadija wants to know what are the top terpenes to address pain and anxiety.
So I would say for pain, you would be looking for high content of myrcene. You would be looking for a high content of linalool. And then you would probably want to stay away from anything that has like pinene. I do find that a lot of patients that are dealing with anxiety issues, they can't stand pinene of any kind. Alpha, beta, doesn't matter. If it's in there, even in the slightest, they know that it's going to give them that rush that they don't want to feel. Um, and also it varies from person to person too. I have heard patients give counter arguments to what myrcene is typically looked at, and other terpenes that are similar to that. Like for example, terpinolene, I find it to be relaxing, not necessarily sedative, but relaxing and creative. And there are a couple people that, when they smoke anything with terpinolene, they'll say it gives them this rush. They feel like they need to go run, I need to go run 10 miles an hour. So, people do need to understand that it varies. Every person is different. But most of the information that's given out there about it is what most people experience. And, if I'm looking for pain and anxiety, I'm going myrcene first. I'm going linalool second.
Good. So for the people that don't really want to jump into THC real quick, what about those? Or can you just explain the difference between CBD and THC for those who don't know?
In a very short explanation, THC is going to give you the euphoric effect, if you will. Any type of feeling when you first burn the cannabis, whether it's like right behind your eyes or like a body effect. Whereas CBD is going to give you the relief that any THC bud would do, but it's not necessarily going to give you a clouded mind. It's gonna be very clear. It's gonna help with any type of inflammation, just like any bud with THC would. Just you're gonna be able to continue doing things throughout the day. Some people they ingest THC and it makes them a little loopy, if you will. So they can't have that during the day like others, and so that's where they would use the CBD, where they can still get that relief. They can still come off of whatever anxieties they're having and still function.
What are some when I guess for individuals that just started again into the cannabis industry, what are some things they should look for in their bud? Maybe if they're buying it from the black market or the dispensary, as far as like safety precautions, maybe look out for mold or um,
Definitely, if you're buying off the black market, look out for things like mold. If you're buying black market, I encourage you to definitely get that get that card. Get that card. It's the easiest thing to get. I know people think it's hard to sign up for. It's really not. Um, but if they're going that route, mold is definitely a good thing to check for, especially if you have a really big, dense nug. Crack that thing open. I know it hurts people's souls to crack that biggest nug open. They want to save it for the last one, but like crack it open, look in the middle, man. Does it look pink? Does it look powdery? It's probably moldy if it is. How does the bud feel on the outside? Is it wet? Does it, or is it too dry? Those are definitely things they're gonna want to look out for. But the first thing I would do is definitely crack that biggest nugget, whichever is the biggest one, crack it open right down the middle and figure out what's going on the inside. But definitely don't continue doing black market. You should.
What are some things they should look out for when they're trying to look for, I guess, when they're trying to get like top shelf buds? What's some things to look out for and now examining the buds? So,
what is top shelf? I feel like that's so subjective.
I would say, the term exotic, some gas or just
that Zaza.
Yeah,
I'm assuming usually when people say top shelf, that's going to be those patients coming in saying, "Hey, where's the highest THC you have?" That's usually going to be our top shelf guys. But again, that top shelf, that can vary from person to person. There's plenty of people that can come in and get something off that bottom shelf, and it's not the highest THC, but it might be the highest terpenes, and it might be those terps might be the effect they're looking for. But what do I look for? Honestly, I know a lot of strains that are good for me, so I pretty much just look for those guys. Every now and then, I'll see something new, and I'll be like, I'll try it, and if it does what I need it to do, I'll continue getting it. I'll add it to my list. But I'm pretty regular when it comes to mine. Like, I'm going in there, I'm getting my Afghanis. I'm getting my, nothing heavy. My Sitting Bulls. I saw you had the Sitting Bull up there. Yeah, I'm getting stuff like that.
Oh, yes. The Sitting Bull. I was being super corny the other day. And, sorry, one sec. Oh, hey, Bub and Meeks. That is our Reset Wellness fam. Just wanted to say, hey, thank you for tuning in with us. But I was super corny the other week. I was like, that Sitting Bull, it had me sitting. Yes, and that bull, it knocked me out. Like, I was very, very comfortable. Very much so enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Like I said, I kind of know what I want when I walk in there, but every once in a while they'll give me with something new. Like, have you seen this? And I'm like, oh, if the brand is right, I'm grabbing it.
Yeah, no. And I think, again, just getting into this whole bud thing, it's really nice to get to know more about flower so you can know what it is exactly that you're looking for and what works best for you. With that whole journaling aspect, it's kind of like, if I know that I like X, Y, and Z strains, like I can go to my wellness advisor, bud tender, whatever you guys call it, and I can let them know this works for me. I like this, and something else can be recommended because we tend to know the terpenes that are associated with it. So it's really the more you learn, the better it gets for you as a patient and just as an adult user if you decide not to do it patient wise. But it's at the end of the day, you're going to get something from it regardless. So you're still a patient, whether you know it or not. That's right. My old dispensary self always coming back through. Like, but let's see. What brands are you excited about? We just got a question in the chat. What are some brands that you're excited about that are just out? Because I know I do have a couple. So please go first. And Tay, I don't know if you have any at the moment.
Yeah, no, I don't got my car. So I'm all ears right now, So I'm excited to hear what y'all got to say, I'm excited to hear what y'all got to say. Any upcoming brands, that you know about? Sneak peek,
Upcoming brands? I mean, everybody's been kind of talking about District a lot, District Cannabis. Specifically, my favorite from them is Gelato Cake. And then, some of the older brands are coming out with strains or like Grassroots, the Ray Charles. I need Grassroots to bring that Ray Charles back.
The Ray Charles.
That was like an hour.
But I would say definitely District Cannabis is that's the one everybody's kind of going after right now. Rhythm Flower has been pretty decent actually lately.
Top notch.
Black Afghan, that's a good one by them. I just tried the Grape Stomper personally yesterday. That was pretty decent.
That's a good one. You're naming all of the great ones. I love the Rhythm Flower.
And then Evermore. big fan of Evermore concentrates mostly, but especially if you're terpene hunting. If you're terpene hunting, their concentrates are crazy. Their flour. I've recently gotten into some of their flour. I had their strawberry cookies. Definitely good brands there. And then it just really depends on what strain it is. I can name good strains from each brand. We go to HMS. I'm doing Skywalker, Strawberry OG. What's another one by them? Bully Kush. Those are going to be my top ones.
I don't
Afghan.
think I've had those.
We haven't had two of those strains in a couple weeks now, honestly. But yeah.
I'll have
Each
to
brand has like a staple that I feel like they're really good at. Like Verano's good at their gelato. I love their gelato. That's one of my favorites. It just really depends on what strains are available by each brand.
Very, very true. And I know that Maryland is also supposed to be getting like their edibles and stuff soon. So I'm hoping that, Verano will actually have like legit gelato, like gelato infused gelato at some point in the future. I think that would be delicious. I know for myself, in regards to something that I'm excited for, it's maybe you're slightly excited or you've already had it and you can give me feedback, but I know Cureleaf just came out with their select line, the what is it, the squeeze?
The squeeze, yes. We don't have it yet, but they have released it in other states. I think it's going to be here very soon. But I am very excited about that. It's supposed to be like one of those little water drinks you can add in there and add a little flavor to it. But I'm very excited to see what that's going to be like. I think it's going to be similar to that of like the Dixie or something like that.
Yeah, it's like Mio. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
It's like Mio, and I used to love Mio growing up. So I'm about to go in once it comes in.
I'm excited to see what the edible market brings. That's the one thing that you consistently hear from patients is, our market on the edibles is lacking. Like, you can go to Colorado, you can go to Cali, and you can get everything from like cereal to like a cheeseburger. Whereas here we got very limited. It's mostly gummies.
Yeah, there's quite an array, and here it's very mainlined, and that's where, again, getting to know your flower becomes very important, because if you are going to be a patient somewhere and you have to make your own edibles, you need to know, what are the effects that I'm going to get from this flower that I'm about to make this butter with, or this olive oil, or sugar, or anything. So
Absolutely.
Truly getting to know the flower matters.
And, with the terpenes too, I don't think a lot of patients realized, not all the terpenes are listed on that bottle there. It'd be just too much information there. So like if people wanted to get an in-depth look of what is actually in there, they could go into the store and they can ask for that information. And usually they should be able to pull it up right then and there and print it off for them so they can read that. But usually the ones they list on there are going to be the highest testing stuff. So you really wouldn't have to worry too much about those lower end terps.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned that from being at the processor. I was like, oh, there's more? It's like magic.
It's like a book. They're like, here's everything that's in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, squeeze the day, squeeze. See, Khadijah perhaps has had it, and I'm jealous. I will say, at that grand opening of the Montgomery Village Cureleaf again, it was that first day of the Select Fresh, which is the, I guess, fruit flavored distillate cartridge.
Yes.
And whatever. And it was interesting. I'll say the Pineapple Express I enjoy more than the berry gelato, but I'm definitely enjoying those freshes.
The berry gelato has been very popular. I would say that's probably been the most popular one. But me personally, I'm going pineapple. That's just me.
I felt like the fruit lasted longer. That's just my little pro tip. Like, if you're getting it for the fruit, get it for the fruit. but everybody feels differently. So, yeah.
All right. So we're gonna move on to our articles, current events. So I'm not sure if you heard, Pat. Joe Biden, he asked, I guess, his employers if they have had prior use to marijuana, and they was under the assumption that if they say they have, it was in the past, they'll be good. But ultimately, he kind of like, well, he didn't kind of, but he did kind of like fire them. So I want to just know like how you felt about that. Do you think saying he was in the wrong? Or
I definitely would say that they were in the wrong, especially if they weren't currently using. If it was just like I used it 10 years ago type thing, yeah, you're wrong. Especially with where all the states are going, more and more states are opening up to it. I know the Biden administration doesn't really, not necessarily not like cannabis. They're just not big fans of it. I think them firing people, they're just delaying the inevitable. Eventually, there's going to be people in higher positions that have used it before, and they might use it now. And to just through my work here, I've worked with people that are very functioning through cannabis use, and it's absolutely ridiculous that they would interview them thinking that they wouldn't get in trouble, that they were being honest about
Yeah.
it, and then them losing their job. It seems unfair to me.
Agreed.
I
Seems
definitely,
shady.
Yeah, definitely.
yes.
And I will say, I feel like in regards to those kinds of things, that's why the government does lose out on top tier talent. Because I always use it as my little go-to line and anecdote. It's like, you hear about the government not being able to get the best computer scientists and hackers and things of that nature because they're like, you can't use drugs, you can't smoke weed. And they're all just like, yeah, we smoke weed. So
I mean, and like the thing is these hackers and stuff like that, they can do that while doing cannabis. So like, if you want to hire them to learn how to stop hackers, you got to give up something.
yeah, it's very, very simple. But hey, at the end of the day, whatever, what have you. So I know on to kind of our next little bit of, thankfully, I will say, just to wrap up that little bit, cannabis in the workplace. Thankfully, with us being in the cannabis industry, I'm so thankful that cannabis is a part of our workplace. Obviously, you're still not supposed to operate heavy machinery and work, whatever, because that is a common misconception. People are like, oh, it's a dispensary or grower, I can just be super high all the time. And it's like,
it is 100%
actually
work. I have to come to work. I have to show up on time. Patients do come in and they think like we're in the back growing our own stock and like, just sit in the back rolling up whenever there's slow time. I'm like, dude, we're not even allowed to bring a lighter in this building. Like, we can't have none of that. Like,
literally, you drive up to a place and it's like you can't consume on the property. And it's like, oh, this is a cigarette. I don't care. I can't tell the difference from the camera. Just
away. Yeah, because everybody. If we want to keep doing stuff like this, they do check the footage. People don't believe that, but they come in there, they check on the building, make sure we're doing everything we're supposed to, and making sure the patients are doing what they're supposed to. It's, I try to tell people, don't get banned. Don't get banned over doing something stupid in the parking lot. Like, you can wait 5 minutes to get home.
literally. This is a really silly, funny story, at least from my perspective. Like, being at a dispensary, patients can really enjoy their time there and love talking to you so much and forget where they are. Literally, one day I was talking to a patient, was in the back. We walked back around to the front and we were just carrying on conversation. They had gotten some of the troches, the gummies, whatever that people know about. And they were just casually having a conversation with me. Next thing you know, pop the container open, pop some in their mouth, and just kept talking to me. And I was like, did you I'm like, hold on, wait. Did you just do what I think you did? And they're like, what? And I'm like,
You can't do that. You can't do that. And it's funny because like during the pandemic, like right at the beginning of it, we went curbside. And, so we're going out to patients, we're giving them their order, and, they'll be sitting out there getting ready to roll up. And we're like, whoa, 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 what are you doing out here? They're like, what? I'm in the car. I'm like, you signed like 10 pieces of paper that said you weren't going to do this in the car. You better put it away.
literally. It's kind of that, oh, there's fine print and you just sign it so you can get through it. But it's like, no, the fine print actually matters. But it's so funny. That was hilarious to me. I was like, I gotta kick you out now. You gotta go. But I'm gonna be fake mad at you now because that was bad.
Yes, it happens more than you think. People just go like, they think they have their card there in the clear. I'm like, dude, the card you paid for with the doctor, you signed papers there. When you walked into the building here, you signed papers here. And I'm pretty sure it says on the back of the card, like, act right. Like,
absolutely. There's always a caveat for everything. So this is, again, it's all about the bud today. And we are kind of bouncing all over in how we are covering bud, but it's from the flower itself to, just moving around it. And I know we even mentioned like incorrect terminology earlier, and we don't have to super dive into it, but I know even that is kind of something within the industry as well, and streamlining what do people refer to something as. I know you can hear even like terpenes, beta caryophyllene, beta caryophyllene. Like, which one is it? I don't know.
But we know what you're talking about. Which was the right pronunciation? Who knows? But we know what it does. That's all that matters. We know how it's going to affect somebody.
Exactly. So I know going back to, we got another question in. I was about to move on, so perfect timing. But what about employees with serious medical conditions who are also cannabis patients? Do they have to go home to dose?
That's really a slippery slope. If you have a very, very serious physical condition, we're not going to make you go all the way home, but you can't really do it in the parking lot or anything either. So you have to be, if it's somebody's house that you have to go somewhere. You cannot be anywhere near us doing it. And also you can't get too intoxicated. I know people, this is their medicine, but just like any other medicine, you can do too much of it. And so, if you do come into the dispensary and it's clear that you have, ingested too much, that's going to be a problem. It's just like any other job. You can't go into a job, and you just had surgery and you took too many of your painkillers or whatever. Same thing here. You can't come into work off of a half gram of RSO. Like, don't don't do that. Save that for the weekend. Save that for your day off. It definitely has to be within reason. That's where that CBD stuff comes in. Do your CBD tinctures, and if as long as you're acting right and we don't have to say anything about your use, then we wouldn't know. It's just like if you're taking an allergy pill, I don't know if you take that unless you take it in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say, like, it's that same thing of like, oh, you can't do something while operating a vehicle. If you need to go somewhere, sit somewhere, turn your vehicle off, go sit in the passenger seat. This is not me. I'm not signing off on this. I am not advocating for this, but I'm just saying, in instances, if you are needing to abide by these rules and regulations, like, absolutely do what you need to do. But again, as he said, if I'm not clocking you, nobody's really clocking you like that. Nobody knows, but you do need to be able to kind of do your job. And
about it,
Yeah, you definitely have to be able to continue doing everything that is expected of you. You have to do that job description. You have to do it well. And like I said, we're being watched every second of the day. MMCC can come in there and, they can request footage to see if we're selling to the right people. They can, they see if we oversell somebody. And like, if you're overdoing it with your cannabis use, it'll show very quickly. And it's not allowed. It's just what it is.
Yeah. And I would also just add to that another aspect of, if you have a serious medical condition, it's that's why there are so many different ways of ingestion. It's knowing what works best for you and trying to figure out, will I need a medication or a higher dosage so it can last a bit longer until my lunch break or something of that nature. So because it really is, you cannot consume on the premises in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if that is different in adult use states, but in regards to medical.
From what I know, most places you have to do it in the privacy of your own home. You have to do it away from the facility, because if you're doing it in the parking lot, even in the recreational states, you're now driving inebriated, and you can't do that. So I would assume most places are take this home, take it to wherever you are allowed to be inside like an adult, and do it for you.
Yeah. So again, going to that employee, if you're an employee and hopefully you drove to work, then maybe you can go sit in your car and then walk back to work, and you have broken no laws. Boom.
Yeah. It's end of the night for me. We're good to go.
Yeah.
So do you think is there a difference between recreational dispensaries and medical dispensaries, or is it kind of the same process, same blood?
I don't have too much experience with recreational dispensaries. Prior to me being a patient, I did go to DC, a little bit here and there, those little recreational pop-ups and stuff like that. But I would assume
pop-ups aren't the same, though. Yeah. No offense to the DC scene, I love it here, but pop-ups aren't the same as. And I'm gonna be that person I'm gonna push forward that non-usage of the word recreational. I think that's like what I keep hearing more so within the industry of it's adult use, because coming from that industry or that dispensary patient advocacy side, it's even if you're using it recreationally, it's still using it. Or what if you don't get a card and you're using it, but you're using it as medicine? You're not recreational with it. You are a now user. So with that use, I've heard that I've heard that there is a difference. Usually there's like a limitation on what you can purchase. Medical patients will be able to buy something that's maybe 100, 200 milligrams versus an adult user coming in and they can only buy something that's 50 milligrams. Additionally, there's like separate lines also, and different taxation. If you're a medical patient, I think it's a lot less. And if you're an adult user, then you go in and you're taxed out the wazoo. So
I know medical here there's no tax on it whatsoever. And then most states that do have adult use, they have a pretty decent tax on there. So that would definitely be one main difference. And then I think you're right. Some places do put a restriction on potency. I think most of them, it's just a limit on how much you can purchase, whether it's weight-wise or just financially. They will put limits on how much you can purchase in that one day at that dispensary. But most of those places, you can, hop over to one, right over across the street and hit that same amount. Whereas with Maryland, we have these cards and each doctor says you can have this much. And if you use that much in 30 days, well, tough. Like there's nothing else you can do about it. You're out.
I didn't see some sad faces.
And it happens a lot. People lose count. I would say, especially with the newer patients who are like, they went from being adult use to now I'm a medical patient. I can walk into the store and get it. And the first, 2 weeks, they're like, let me get a quarter, let me get a quarter, let me get a quarter. And then all of a sudden they come in, they're like, let me get a quarter. And we're like, no, you can't get that. You can.
They're like, I got a joint for you.
That's about it. That's about it.
They're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Yeah. So I guess with that being said, that's a very upsetting piece to tell a patient, but and nobody likes to do it. But what would you say is kind of the hardest part? It says of being in a dispensary, but what would you say, what is the hardest part of kind of working in a dispensary? Like, in that day-to-day life, is there a difficult aspect? And then versus a grower as well, was there something difficult there versus here?
With dispensaries, the hardest parts would be honestly learning the patients. You start off with a couple new ones here and there, but you have a lot of regulars, and they know what they like. Even if and they're especially some of the older ones who have been doing this for a long time. They think their answer is the answer, and that's fine. We're not going to argue with you. So it's really getting to know the patients, knowing what helps, what doesn't help. And, that goes along with your staff. You have to build relationships with these people. And so when you have like the newer staffs and you're trying to get them trained and these regulars come in, anxieties for them can get very high if they're dealing with a new staff member that doesn't know them. Like if they don't know that they only like indicas and they sell them a sativa, they're going to call me, and they will call me the next day and let me know, I can't believe you allowed this person to sell me this.
They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to do their job.
Phone calls get serious.
So I would say it's mostly getting the patients what they need. And the other thing is getting them to understand that we don't have everything all the time. Sometimes they think they can walk in. They got Afghani 2 months ago, and they think they can come in. They said, this did wonders. I need it again. I don't have it. We're out.
Yeah.
And they're like, aren't you growing some in the back? No. They're like, tell the grows to grow some more. And I'm like, we literally don't have any power with that. And it's hard to get that across them. Like, I know this strain helps you, and if I could get it for you right now, man, I would.
And something even similar at times. It's like, oh, okay, that works. And you're like, well, give me something similar then. And you're like, so currently the whole state is really lacking on indicas, and we only have sativas, and I know this is what you're looking for.
I would say the biggest one right now is sativas. Like, a lot of people just want a sativa right now. And, if you're looking at these terps, I would say most of these things lean either hybrid or indica. And when you tell that to a patient, they're like, well, what am I going to do? And I'm like, we can try one of these. But, I keep it honest with them. I tell them, if we don't have something here, I'm not going to stop you from getting your medicine at another store. If they have what you need, and especially if I know it, we all get the messages in the morning. It's the first thing in the morning, all the text messages that come in. If I saw something, I'll let them know, hey, I saw this over here. It might be able to help you out better. And that's just another way you build that relationship with those patients. Yeah, I didn't make a sale for my team today, but I was able to help them. And that's really the main goal, is being able to help the patient.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. With that said, I guess in helping the patient, just in regarding safety, I wanted to cover everything, all thing bud. And when we talk about terpenes and the cannabinoids, which are CBD and THC, I just wanted to, again, let people know, if you pick up bud, if you found it on the street and say a child found it or something, is actually dangerous if they found it, stumbled across it, and they ate the whole thing. Like, I'm not sure all patients understand actually how cannabis, weed, marijuana works. So would you mind discussing, how that actually works with the activation quickly, just before I forget?
Yeah, very quickly. THC starts off as THCA, so that's not going to be activated. So if you had something that had a lot of THCA in it, it's not going to turn into what would give you the euphoric feeling until you bring heat to it. whether you're vaping it, burning it, it's none of that's going to make the conversion until heat is brought about. And so, if they were to they were finding something on the street, I definitely wouldn't tell them to touch it. But but if they did and they ate it, there really shouldn't be. You might have a stomach ache, just from eating a plant like that. But you're not gonna. You shouldn't really feel too much, but you could still get relief from it. Just because it's not activated. Some products come like that with the purpose of not giving you that euphoric feeling. You can ingest it and still get relief of some sort, whether it's pain relief, inflammation, anything like that, just from eating. Like if you were having the raw plant in your house, you could eat the leaves and get something beneficial from it.
Yeah, there are people who make smoothies. Actually,
salads, all different types of stuff. You can use that plant for more things than just smoking. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I know you talked about the MMCC, and I know you do inventory and stuff like that. So for the people that don't know, like I know you said customer said one time before, hey, why don't you just cut some trees down, grow some in the back? But a lot of people don't know that we guys take inventory. So if you can explain to the audience like what the process is when taking an inventory.
Okay. So usually the processing facility, they've packed it all up and they've registered this package, if you will, to the state. They say, hey, this 10 pounds of whatever is going to this license over here. Okay, they'll make the delivery to us. The delivery arrives, and we immediately have to count it, because if we accept that package and we don't have what they say we're supposed to have, it's already a problem. So if they sent us 10 pounds, we have to count each eighth and make sure that we have 10 pounds. If they say we have 15 packs of gummies, we have to make sure we have 15 packs. And then once we confirm that they sent us what we were supposed to receive, we basically tell the state, hey, this is what we have in store. We have this right now. And they can come into the store and check on that at any given moment. So, if we took, if we somehow mislabeled something and it got rang out as another item, that would be a problem. We'd have to figure out, what was actually given away and what, because they have to be able to track it down to the moment it was grown. And so if there's any reactions or anything like that, and they have to be able to make a recall on it, we know exactly what items need to be brought back.
Yeah. And that's through there's still not yet a national standard, but for most people who are within the industry, they know the company that is kind of responsible for tracking all of this is Metric. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's basically the tracking program for everything cannabis from seed to sale, as people call it, from the day that it is put in the ground as a seed until the day that it is sold to you as a consumer. And that is kind of how it is. And it actually kind of brings us into one of the last few things we were going to talk about. And Marijuana Matters on our website, we have a lot of great initiatives and things on there. We have our Green Light blog and podcast. And we are soon going to be posting an article speaking about cannabis and environmental justice. And I think I'm saying that incorrectly. But cannabis and environmental justice. And it kind of reminded me, actually, speaking of Metric, a video I had seen not too long ago about a guy who was talking about waste within the industry through, Metric. He was like, I have all of these Metric tags he was a grower, and he was like, I have all of these plastic Metric tags, and there's literally nothing I can do with them, but I have to hold them because I need to. And it was, it's great for the tracking of it for the patient, but there's also that side of, the environment, the sustainability aspect. And I know Curaleaf has, at least in Maryland, there's been a great company that started an initiative, the High Five Initiative. I actually met them again at the grand opening of Curaleaf. The High Five Initiative people, and they have a great recycling program for things like that. But I didn't know if you had anything else to add in regards to some thoughts you had in regards to sustainability and.
So I definitely agree with everybody in the industry. I can't believe how much waste we have. Like it is, and that even from down to the plant, like I did hear that there's going to be a company starting to roll Canagars soon. And they're going to use the leaves of the families of the plants to roll cannabis cigars essentially. And that's one of the things that I used to say when I was at the grow, like, we're throwing out so much of this plant that you can use for other things. You don't have to just pick off the stuff that's not the bud and throw everything else away. So, and then also obviously the plastic, all the containers that we use for the eighths, selling it by the eighth is very painful. I got to tell you that. Like, if we could most of the companies started selling more by the half ounce, the whole ounce. Improve our carbon footprint a little bit. And even we can make containers out of hemp. So, maybe we should, start doing that. I just like everybody else, the amount of waste that we have in the industry it's rough, but Curaleaf, we're trying. We're out here trying right now. We're definitely trying to get more people to start doing that recycling, and even if they're not accepting the all the containers, because we only take the ones with the Recycle 5 symbol. Even if we're not, I would still try to find a place to recycle them. I could be better about it. I just throw them in the recycling bin and hope that it gets separated somewhere. I'm trying to do my part, but the waste is a little high, and I hope that as the companies continue to grow, they find a better way to use some of the waste. We have so much more stuff that we can use from that plant for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For like the display bud, I know you guys have to take it out at a certain time. I know all the employees, they be getting all sad when
Anytime,
so I wish it was a good way to do it.
Stuff like that. It's just like any other medicine. If it expires, we can't do anything with it. If you broke the seal on it, you can't do anything with it. And I get it, but as most of the users that I know, they're very upset when we throw it out. It's
like fire kills it. It's okay. I got it. Don't worry about it.
We try to argue. They're like, but I have fire right here.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that kind of ties into also the article that was just posted recently on our page. The most recent Greenlight blog post is in speaking about that High Five initiative in how that kind of came to be. We talk about from cannabis consumer to advocate and entrepreneur. It's really people who are consumers and they really want to see better within the industry. And you end up, I always say it cornily, cliche as it is, be the change you want to see. And, looking at that on the blog, we highlight some great women within the movement, things of that nature. I think, I believe her name was Kiana. We highlight some great individuals within there, and we talk about what the industry needs, such as ancillary businesses, which High Five initiative is. Ancillary meaning don't touch the product. Like, what is the easiest way to be in cannabis? Don't touch it. That's red tape. So, please check out our blog to capture more. I know we've kind of gotten to our hour-long version. I don't want to keep people too long. And I want to say thank you to everyone joining Marijuana Matters, and especially you, Pat. Thank you for this talk with us today. We have gone all over the place, and I think all about the bud. I feel a little bit closer to bud. I don't know about you.
I love talking about this. Thank you very much for having me on here. This is fun. I could do this all day long.
Man, I mean, if you want, we can come back on as many times as you want. I think Lois is gonna be jealous though, because she was asking to be on the show. I told her I'm gonna get back with her, so you beat her to the punch.
Well, now I get to brag that I'm on the show, and they invited me back. So
Well, we gotta get Lori on here. I know she's been asking, so
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think today has been wonderful. Just as a little recap, we had Pat on, who was an assistant manager, or not was, is an assistant manager at Cureleaf. Kind of made that transition as a Verona grower into, Cureleaf now. We discussed everything about the bud, from cannabinoids like CBD and THC to indica, sativa, the terpenes, and Biden and him not being the best he could be. you know but I think we had a wonderful talk today. And again, as always, please check us out. Marijuana Matters. Get our apparel. It's
I'm about to
on
go shirt right now. I'm about to go get me one.
Oh, please do. And they're so soft. Yes, they're so soft. I promise you, you will love them.
Oh yeah, the new t-shirts, yeah, man, these official. They feel good and everything. So
I'm gonna give one right now.
Yes, and always want to definitely give another shout out to our sponsors out there. So you have Verder, who is a CBD skincare line for you guys that don't know, VERDURE. Additionally, we have Reset Wellness, which is a CBD infused drink line. So please check them out. And additionally, Bouquet Rolling Papers, my loves, my squad, my crew, organic hemp rolling paper company based out of the DMV. So please check those out. You can find their information on the Marijuana Matters page. I don't know if I forgot anything. Tay, Pat, please let me know.
Hey man, just good to have you on, Pat. Good to see your face again. Y'all do show up to the dispensary in Curly dispensary. Definitely ask for Pat. He knows everything about cannabis. You name it.
Come see me.
you name it, Pat, he gonna help you out. So yeah, man. Thanks a lot for coming on here, dropping some gems, putting people on game. So
I appreciate it. I really do.
Yes. He said, pull up, y'all. Pull up.
Pull up.
Thank you so much, Pat. Have a wonderful rest of your night. And everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate the love. Stay safe, stay sane, be well. And remember, Marijuana Matters. And check us out first and third Wednesday for more Weed Crush Wednesday.
Yeah. Peace.